Hi, I'm Amanda Hocking, and this is my new series, What If Wednesdays. And it's where I take a look at different aspects of my series, different books that I've written, different characters, different stuff, and just say, what if something happened that didn't happen or hasn't happened yet. So this week, for my very first episode, I thought I would dive in with the what if question that I get asked the most, which is, what if Wendy had chosen differently than how she did at the end of Ascend? So I'm going to be talking about the Trylle Saga in this video, specifically the three original books in the original Trylle series, Switched, Torn, and Ascend. So if you have not read any of those books, be careful, because be warned, there will be spoilers abounding in this video. So just letting you know. There also might be some spoilers for the second trilogies in the Trylle Saga, which would be the Canon Chronicles and the Omti Origins. I'm going to be careful about those and try to keep them minimal, but, you know, since all the books are connected, and you talk about, well, what will happen if, you know, Wendy, then yeah. So I'm gonna have to kind of mention it a bit. So even to this day, I still get questions from readers. It's probably one of the most common questions that I get is like, why did you decide for Wendy to end up with Finn? Or why not Finn? Or what if she ended up with Finn? Can you write a different book where she ends up with Finn? And so my general kind of answer to those questions, though, is I've written the story the way that I imagined it, the way that I wanted it to be, the way that I felt the character was going to go. And that doesn't mean that the way you like it is wrong, it's just not the way that I wrote it. I wish I could write switched over again and have it be from different have her choose a different love interest just for you all to be able to enjoy it, but I really think it's something that I can't do well. I don't think I've got the story. I wrote the way the story worked for me, the way that I was passionate about, and writing it another way, I really don't think it's going to work for me. I don't think I could do a good job. But I definitely think that this is one of those things where the realm of imagining what the specifics look like is a wonderful place for fan fiction and things like that to fill in some of the gaps. And I really think that you should explore it. And I really, you know, I generally, I love fan fiction, and I really encourage it because I think it's a great way to explore scenarios and feelings and characters and get to just play around with things that the author is either unable or unwilling to do. And there's plenty of reasons why, and it's totally fine, you know? But this video is about what if Wendy had chosen Finn over Loki. And I've already done a ton of videos why I've talked about other videos where I talk about why I had her pick Loki and why I chose Loki, but these are kind of beside the point. In this one we're going to explore, well, what happens if she had picked Finn? So I think the biggest thing is that Finn does have some maturing to do. It really seems like, and especially from the beginning, Finn seems so much more mature than Wendy. But I do think that the fallout of the battle with the Vitra and the stuff with Aslana did help him kind of grow up and realize that he needs to be honest about what he wants. He has a lot of baggage from, you know, his dad and Alora's relationship and things like that, and that's why was so hesitant. And he was also like really, you know, kind of upholding this caste system, and he really had to he'll have to reevaluate those things. I do see, like, I think he was definitely, like, in the wrong for how he treated Wendy around Tove, and he does need to grow up from that and realize that if he loves Wendy, they need to be together or not be together. And I think he would definitely have come to that point in the future if she hadn't picked Loki, but then once she's happy with Loki, he's not gonna go on there and get into it. The biggest thing that makes me really difficult for me to imagine them not together, though, is the fact that Finn, you know, gets married and has kids with Mia, and they have the way that their story unfolds. And Finn is actually, like, probably has one of the largest roles out of the main characters from the first Trylle books into the other 9, and so it's weird for me to it's hard for me to imagine, like, okay, well, what is it going to look like if we remove Mia and the kids? And I really think that they were a big part of his maturing and grounding and opening up to his emotions. And without me and the kids, he's going to have to learn to do that a different way. I do think that Wendy could help him. I just worry about how Wendy is naturally already kind of becoming closed off as a queen. And so I think it's important that she is someone that pushes her to be emotional and pushes her to stay in tune with herself. And I don't know if Finn's necessarily the one to do that, so I don't know if that's going to change who she becomes and how she rules in the future. I mean, I definitely would say that it would, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. Because again, like, I think that Finn can be overly pragmatic at times, but that's not a bad thing for a ruler to be pragmatic. So I think having him help balance her, they might make more safe decisions. That could sometimes be beneficial. I mean, I definitely think that her and Loki would be more likely to make rash decisions, which would be which could sometimes have ramifications too. So it's hard to see. Like I don't have a really like concrete idea of what their the royalty day to day looks like. Yeah, I think Finn would be good at that stuff too. And I mean, obviously he knows the Trylle community better than Loki or Wendy. I think that is the one advantage that having him as a king over versus Loki or Wendy is that he does know the kingdom so well. And then also, if they got together, there wouldn't be Oliver, which is Oliver is Loki and Wendy's son. So who? I don't know. I don't know. I think they would have kids. I thought that Wendy has. Wendy and Loki definitely have fertility issues. I didn't go into it in the books and stuff, but it's mentioned that they have got fertility issues in the community, and that's why they only have one child. Well, that's one of the reasons why they only have one child. But I think that. So I don't know. I mean, I guess I think that Finn did too. I guess that was true that my thoughts were with Mia, having more fertility issues was that she was more removed from the royal family. That there's that part of the fertility issues were coming from them being so stunted, and kind of when you're obsessed with bloodlines, you really get into like interbreeding. You know, I mean, like, because yeah, it's just impossible when you get into royalty. So but so yeah, I think that I guess they would probably, I hope they would at least have one child, because I think that both of them, Finn especially, I think really enjoys being a dad, and that's a really big important part of the role that he has. And I think that was even part of the role that he had with Wendy. He was all really fatherly to her at times. He was very like protective of her and stuff like that. And I think that, so that's why I just wanted him, I knew I wanted him to be a dad and to have lots of kids. And so I hope he still does that. I mean, obviously he'll have nieces and nephews through Matt and Willa. They would still adopt. I don't see why that would change anything. And maybe Tobin and Bane will have kids in the future. So he'll have nieces and nephews and things like that too, which could be fun. But hopefully him and Wendy would at least have one child. But it will really affect how the rest of the books play out with the trilogy. And not so much the Canon Chronicles, because I think that even if Finn is king at that time, it doesn't really affect Ember's journey and Bryn's journey. Although, maybe, I mean, if Finn was king, I don't know if Ember could be a tracker, because it kind of makes her, she's the king's little sister. She can't be out in the field, especially not for another tribe, you know. So I guess that would change everything with Ember. But I mean, her and Bryn could still be friends. She might still be alive then too. I mean, maybe, you know, that's that. But where the story would really change would be the Omti origins, because Ula stays with Finn and Mia and their kids because she's like a nanny. And when you remove Mia and the kids, and obviously they don't need, I don't know where Ula's gonna stay. I don't know what's gonna become with her. I guess maybe she would stay with Bryn, but then everything would change. I mean, and that's it, because when you talk about like this stuff too, when it gets into what's going on in the, but it's it would be, the stuff would have to happen still, because I think the Oganan would still find a way to make it happen, and so I think it would still happen, because it's all kind of, they would find a way for it. But I mean, Finn and Wendy's involvement would probably be the same in the Canon Chronicles, because like I said, Finn is already connected, but they might be less connected. I don't know. Maybe Ember and her parents would stay, and that would really be a big change. I don't really know how all that stuff would work out, because then that's kind of how Bryn is able to get in to see Wendy, is through Finn, through Ember. And so if you change that, but I mean, I could easily find another, I mean, there could be another way. Like, it's their kingdoms, it's not that hard. I mean, Bryn could just come and be like, I need to talk to the queen, you know what I mean? Like, she could still make it work, you know. Bryn's resourceful. I think that what happened for me is I felt like over the course of the 3 books, that Wendy really grows up. She really grows into herself, and she gets like the strong sense of who she is. But Finn does not grow as much over the first 3 books. He's a bit more static. I think he grows and changes a lot since the books, but I don't think that he's quite at the same level for Wendy. So I still think even if she chose them at the end, I think it would be good if they both had some space. Like, it would be better, like how I would see them getting together is after the fallout at the end of Ascend. Wendy's single for a while, and her and Loki are still obviously going to be friends in this scenario, but maybe he'll stay with the Vitra and he's helped rebuilding the Vitra. She stays with the Trylle, and Finn is still working with her, and they're just friends, and he takes some time to reflect and to grow and to realize, that he almost lost her and over stupid things. And I think he could get more insight, and then like 6 months to a year after she's been queen, they would start quietly dating, have a very secret thing. Maybe she could even get him up the ranks. But I mean, yeah, marrying Finn would be harder than marrying Loki. But I also think that there's something nice about that she's really like saying no more caste system, and putting a slam down on that is a very good thing. So that would be good. And then eventually they would marry. They would have a longer, because of all that though, because both of them would be insistent on doing the right way. It would be a lot longer engagement. I figure like 2 or 3 years. I mean, her and Loki's was so quick in part because they were in love and wanted to get married, but in part because she was pregnant and she was queen. She did not want to have a baby out of wedlock as queen. I think that would be very, very shocking, So that was how that worked out. But so yeah, that would change it all, and then maybe they would have 1 or 2 kids, and I think everything else would find a way to work out. And Wendy and Finn would still be trying to. Well, Finn has a more reserved approach to change. He still thinks that I think a lot of the changes are necessary, so they would still be working together towards common goals and getting rid of a lot of the negative parts about Trylle society. I think that Loki and her are together are more of a force of change, but that doesn't mean that her and Finn wouldn't also be a force for change. I mean, I think they still both want to make the world a better place, and they're both pretty determined to do it. So it would just be on a different timetable. But like they would still get involved in the events into the wars, in the Canon Chronicles and the big battle and the Omti Origins. Definitely, they would still, because I mean it's about helping troll society in the world, and yeah, that's what they want to do. So yeah, so I think there would be some fun stuff. I mean, I don't know if they would I don't know if they would name their kids some of the names. So Finn's kids that he has with Mia are let's see, I can do it. Liam, Emma, Noah, and then Hannah, but she already had Hannah, so Hannah's already named. Hannah's not changing her name. But so the kids that Finn helps name would be Liam, Noah, Emma, Luna, and Lissa. And then the kids that Wendy named are Oliver. So these are all like super popular names. I'm really good at name trends. Yeah, I'm telling you, like that's my one. Well, not my one. I've got a lot of weird interests, but that's one of my weird interests. But so that's why all the name trends. These names are older than the books, but now they're all like number one names. So, but anyway, yeah. So that's. Yeah, I think they'd probably use some of those names though, because they're good names, and I think, so I guess that is my what if it had gone a different way. I mean, I think exactly would still find happy endings. There would just be different endings, and I think some of the changes would take longer for the Trylle Society, but I think that that's not necessarily the worst thing that could happen. It would just be different. So. But yeah, now if you guys have written fan fiction or have anything like that, I would love to check it out. Go ahead and leave a comment so I can check it out, because I occasionally find some Trylle or Watersong fan fiction, and I always love it. It's just fun. I mean, even if you guys make choices that I wouldn't make, I mean, that's actually what makes it more fun. If you make the choices that I would make, then I'm like, well, okay, it's fun to see what the different things that readers find fascinating, that you guys are like, I want to know more about this particular thing, and yeah, it's fun. Also, I've got a bunch of topic ideas for my What If series, but I'd also love to know stuff that you want to know. What are some other scenarios, or they can be scenarios, or different things about characters, or just what if, something to do with my writing, like what if this had happened differently, and I will discuss it in another video, because I think this is fun, but I do have topics, but I also, like, if you guys have ideas, like, I'm happy to bump those up sooner, because I like to talk about things that you like to hear about. I'm also doing the book club, and I forgot that this this month's book club is Neon Gods by Katie Roberts. Yes, doing this. So the next book club will be on June 30th, and I don't have a location yet. But just make sure if you want to be part of it, it's going to be online, not like an IRL location. So, but just make sure that you read Neon Gods by June 30th, and I will have more information about when that's out. Also, you can still pre-order Tristitia, the second book in the Seven Fallen Hearts saga, and the first book, Virtue. I think it's still on sale, but it might not be on sale for much longer. So, Virtue is out now, and Tristitia is available for pre-order. It will be out June 24th. And I'm super excited about that world, and we're talking about it a lot, so I'm not going to, just reminding you that it's there. I know it has been it's been a stressful few weeks, so it's always, I feel like it's always stressful. There's always something bad going on in the world, and I always feel a little bit silly recording these videos. But like I said, I think it's important that we take breaks, and I also think it's important that we still find the things that we're working for. I mean, there's a quote from the television show Legion, which I loved a whole lot, and if you haven't seen it, like, check it out. Like, I loved it. It was on FX. Main character Sid said, "Love isn't the thing that saves us, it is what we save." And I think about that a lot, because love won't save us, but it's what we save. It's what we're doing the things for, the things that we love. I love reading. I love writing. I love my animals, and I love finding ways to connect with people and finding ways to find light in a really dark time. And so that's what I'm doing with these videos, I hope. And they might be a little silly, but I think that we all need silliness. You know, we do. It's important to remember that silliness is good. it is, and I think it's important that we keep it in our lives when we can. So, after all of that, I guess I've definitely talked enough for this video, and so it is, until next time, stay safe, be kind, and happy reading.